Want to learn how to spatchcock butterfly a chicken and make a one-dish meal? Join us today as we visit Kawartha Spice Company and learn how to use the compound spices that they make to create this deal. Welcome to our series, Farm to Fork. I'm Chef Connie Powers and you're watching Rogers TV. Today we are taking you out to Buckhorn, Ontario to meet Deborah Ragbar of Kawartha Spice Company. Deborah works out of a commercial kitchen, so we went out to Kawartha Country Wines where she was delivering and where she retails. She learned how to create spice blends from her mother and her grandmother, and that's what she brings to our table. Today we're going to be using one of her spices, but what is a compound spice? It is a lot of original spices put into a blend that will complement a protein, a dish, a dessert, a soup. And Deborah showed us, she has about 12 or 13 compound spices, and so she showed us a few. I brought home 5 and I've been using them steady. So here's one. We have a beef dry rub. It's savory, it has all the rosemary, thyme. This one is a curry powder, delicious in pasta dishes, rice. Now this one is really unusual. It's a coffee and dessert rose sprinkle. It's really scrumptious in a rice pudding, a custard, a cheesecake, a dessert of any sort. Then this tofu dry rub really brings a lot of flavor to a protein that doesn't normally have a lot of flavor. And the one we're going to be using today is the chicken dry rub. It's a little light. I've been using it a lot. So let's get started. We are going to be spatchcocking a chicken. That's the same as butterflying it. So I have about a 4 to 5 pound chicken here, and I'm going to turn it breast side down. Now spatchcocking means that I'm going to be cutting out the backbone, cracking it, and putting it down into the roasting pan. There's reasons why this is superior to just roasting a chicken. When you're roasting a chicken, the thigh has to be at 170, but the breast starts to dry out at 150. The breast is in the air, the warm air is heating it, and it dries out. This way, it's all down into the roasting pan, and you take it out at 150, and everything will be cooked. To spatchcock a chicken, you do need some pretty decent kitchen shears. You can't use scissors, it won't cut through that backbone. We're removing the backbone, we're taking it out, so you'll need something that's going to break through the bone. These are Mitsumoto. I'll put the link down here if you're interested in investing. You'll see too that there's a different kind. There's some that have the finger grips. I prefer this because I think I have a little bit more control. So we're going to go into the chicken and just cut out the backbone. No splinters of bone. And you can see that I'm getting out the whole backbone. You can take this backbone and you can add it to a stock pot. Now you're going to turn this around and you're just going to give it a little crack. Now we're going to start mixing up our dry rub that's going to go on it. Why is the advantage to spatchcock? You don't have to truss it. You don't have to brine it. You don't have to pre-brine. There's so many reasons, and it cooks in less time. So if you've got only limited amount of time, this chicken can cook in half the time as keeping it whole. I'm going to mix up our dry rub. We'll come back and do this. We'll be right back. And we're back. You're watching Farm to Fork. I'm Chef Connie Powers, and this is Rogers TV. Today we are taking you to Kawartha Spice Company, where we met Deborah Ragbar, and she introduced us to her compound spice blends. Before the break, we spatchcocked the chicken, which just means take the backbone out. We discarded the backbone to be used later in the stock pot. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to put a dry rub on it. So let's create that. In a bowl, you want to add, that you could do your own spices, but Deborah's done it for us. One thing about her spices, she does not use salt in them, so you add your own salt. And she does that because it gives you the freedom to add whatever amount of salt you like to. So let's put in, this is about a 4 to 5 pound chicken, so you could do this with a turkey easily. So you just put in about as much as you think you need for the size of your bird. And I have got about a tablespoon and a half. To that, I'm also going to add about a half tablespoon of kosher salt. I'm going to add some pepper. And about a 1/4 cup or a 1/3 cup, if you like, of brown sugar. Now, some people would even add a little bit of soy sauce to this. I'm trying to keep it a dry rub. So we're going to mix that up. The sugar is just going to give you, the caramelizing of the skin, and you're going to get just a really nice, crispy skin from that. So why this is really ideal is because when you're cooking a turkey and the legs cook at a higher rate and the breast cooks, like we talked about, it dries out. And you don't, sometimes I've seen people with a roast turkey or roast chicken and they flip the bird. But you don't have to do that with this one. You can just leave it flat in your pan. So we're going to rub this chicken down with this dry rub. All right, we've got the chicken in the roasting pan. Notice I didn't put any olive oil. I didn't put any aromatics. You could add those if you want, but you don't need to because the flavoring of the dry rub and the brine. So we're going to get to that. Right now, we are going to mix the brine and show you how to put it on. This is the chicken that I did yesterday, and you can see it's really taken in some of that spice. So we are going to, in this little saucepan, I have 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of orange juice, and 1/2 cup to 2/3 cup of white wine. To that, I am going to put some orange zest. The orange juice is already in there, so I won't be using the orange juice from this. We're going to take you to Kawartha Country Wine, where we met up with Deborah Ragbar of Kawartha Spice Company. Take a look at this. Hey everybody, welcome to our series Farm to Fork. Today we find ourselves at Kawartha Country Wine in Buckhorn, Ontario. But we are here focusing on Deborah, and Deborah Ragbar is the owner of Kawartha Spice Company, and we're going to hear her story. We're going to hear how she began this company and how to use her spices. So, Deborah, welcome to our show. We are so happy to use these and hear more about them. I started using these spices, I would say, maybe 2 months ago when you first made me aware of them, and they're delicious. So, Deborah, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Chef Connie.
Thank you. So what we want to know is, first of all, let's hear the story. So you've got a story. You didn't just learn how to make these yesterday. This has a generational feel to it.
It does, it does. It started out, I guess, because I'm always interested in cooking, even as a young child. Before I was a teenager, I would help my mom do food preparation, and then after that I would actually start cooking and baking.
So you are now living in Peterborough, but you're talking about a time when you did not live in Peterborough.
Right, I'm talking about a time when I grew up. I was born and raised in Guyana, South America, the only English-speaking country in South America. So, my cooking goes back, generations.
Some of these recipes must go back.
Well, actually, I think most of the recipes go back to my mother, but our signature blend, which is the Guyanese curry powder, goes back about 200 years when my ancestors came from India to work in British Guyana, right? And they brought their traditions with them.
So you're a teenager and you have an interest in cooking and your mom sees that. So how does she bring you into that?
Well, I mean, it was like a natural thing.
Cooking for the family.
Cooking for the family, looking at her, helping her, and eventually doing things on my own.
But you say it's a natural thing, but that is a time long ago where it was natural that everybody cooked.
Yes, it was natural that everybody cooked because unlike North America, if we wanted to eat, let's say, fudge or cookies, which we call biscuits, we had to bake pastries, we had to bake cakes, we had to bake. So there's nothing in the shops.
Oh, like that.
But there were, mind you, a few bakeries, but they're expensive. But it was natural that if you felt like eating something, you would bake it or cook it.
Yeah, that's how my grandmother taught me how to cook too. You want it, you make it.
You want it, you make it. Yes.
So tell us about, we're going to look at some of the spices. Now, I've just started using these. What I like about them the most is that it's salt-free. I know that they're gluten-free because you have a personal preference not to use gluten. But because there's no salt, you can add whatever you can add as much as you want or as little as you want for flavor.
Correct.
You have many different categories, and you were telling us that you have savory.
So there are 12 of them. So you have chicken, beef, lamb, seafood.
Salmon, I saw salmon.
Salmon. Well, salmon you can use on all seafood.
Does it have a lemony base?
It does have a lemony base, yeah. And then you have the jerk, you have the mesquite, and of course the signature blend, which is the Guyanese curry powder. Cajun as well, pork.
And then the dessert ones, which I find really fascinating.
The desserts are really good. So for the desserts, I have the which is my favorite, the coffee and dessert rose sprinkle, which is my favorite because of the roses. I love roses.
You learned how to make these as a young girl, and you were telling me about the drying and the grinding. Take us back there.
Okay, so in Guyana, it's hot. And my mother and I would go to the marketplace and buy all of the spices
and where were they imported
that we need.
From?
They were imported, I think, from India.
Okay.
Right, from India. So she would buy the spices, we would go home, wash them individually, and set them out on trays to dry in the sun. When they're dry, then we would grind them. She would, I guess, use her recipe. We would grind them.
How did you grind them? Was it
a manual mill?
Wow.
Yeah, manual mill. So it'll take us all Sunday to make.
And how much would you make?
Enough, I think, to last for a month.
Really?
Yes, because she worked out of the home.
Oh, I see.
So, things had to be organized.
So if your mom were here, which one of these would she recognize?
She would recognize the curry powder.
That's the one
That's the one she would recognize.
Taught you to make.
Yes.
And where did you get inspired to make the rest?
Well, because after I got married now, I'm doing my own cooking, of course. We went to Brazil. We lived in Brazil. and we entertained a lot. So I'm cooking and I'm baking, I'm roasting chickens, and I'm inspired to make my own spices. So I'm using the spices like the cinnamon and the nutmeg and cardamom combined with herbs like rosemary, parsley, and so on. So I make a blend.
You see, this is interesting in that we're, as North American cooks, we are taught to use these spices and herbs individually,
yes.
But you have combined them to make compound spices.
Correct.
And so the home cook who wants that flavor but doesn't know that they need garlic and they need cardamom and they need cinnamon, they can pick up one of your spices.
Exactly, exactly. I always say it's a one-stop shop. You don't have to buy, the cook, the home cook doesn't have to buy individual spices and herbs. Everything is contained in that one blend, and it's flavorful. And if you don't use salt, it's perfect.
You were indulged with all of these imported spices. Then you came to North America and you didn't know where to find these things.
No. I would go to, like when we came to Canada in '82, it was hard to find these products.
You must have been disappointed maybe with what you were finding.
Not really, because Canada is a great place to live.
Diverse.
You know, and so I didn't complain. I would seek out like a West Indian store, and then I would buy the commercial curry powder, right? But then,
did you come to Peterborough?
No. We lived in Markham.
Oh, so you
Yes,
had a more diverse.
we had, yeah. There was nothing in Markham, so what we used to go down to Kensington Market, like once a month, and kind of stock up.
Yeah,
Right. Yes.
But then you came to Peterborough and you brought this.
Oh yes.
And when did you start your company?
In September 2020.
Did you always package in these
Yes.
tins?
I started it like this. Yep. Because I didn't want to change, to have a change. I wanted to look professional. And to look gourmet.
Actually,
Actually, my son
designed
it, and he does the printing for me.
What I really like is inside each tin there's a nice sealed bag,
Right.
so that it's not lying loose and doesn't lose its flavor. I tidied it up and
Right, it keeps it fresh.
it's 85 grams. They retail for $12.95, but when I purchased them, there's a special you have online, isn't there? That
There's a special where you can buy 3 for $40.
and that is over $60 is free shipping. And the nutritional information's on the bottom. It says where it's from. It's vegan. It's gluten-free. This is really good stuff. There are so many things you can do. Take it from a chef. I have used these things, these spices. I've used these spices so many different ways, and there's many more ways. I don't have them all, but I will. Now, this is your very first retail place, and you're a home-based business, but you have it everywhere.
Yes.
So tell us some places.
Okay, so I have it in the Kawarthas, like Kawartha Country Wines. I have it in Peterborough at Primal Cuts. I have it at the food shop. In Muskoka, I have like 21 stores.
21 stores.
21 stores.
But I have gone on your email, and your email is right here if you want to look at it. It is Kawartha.
My email is Deborah@kawarthaspice.ca.
Okay, and it's going to be right here, right in front of
Okay, and Instagram at Kawartha Spice Co, which I try to post every day.
you do.
Yes.
You do post some delicious looking foods. I'm going to put that back. And the website is easy to navigate. You go on it, you can see her prices, you can see her special. You can even see that there is some free shipping if you order a certain amount. Try them, try 3, try 4, but you will find yourself going through all of them because they all have a unique application to your food. Now, there is a recipe book because these are compound spices and you have to know where you want to use those. Use your creativity. but she's done some work for you. So what's this little book?
So this, I'm working on it, Nadia and I, my daughter. We're working on it right now, and it's ready to go to the printers. So it has a recipe for every blend.
Every blend?
So we have 20 recipes.
And so there would be, here's a seafood gumbo. That's
Seafood
nice.
gumbo.
Are these all of your recipes?
These are all of my recipes, as well as Carol Turner, who is one of my collaborators. She has some recipes in here.
And where can we find this? I know that this is just in the making.
Okay, it's also will be all on the website.
All right.
Right.
Will the physical copies be anywhere? Or
Of course.
wherever it's sold?
Wherever it's sold, and it's free of charge.
That's wonderful. So this is just a little mock-up that by the time that this airs, this will be out at all the retail outlets. Pick up these spices, get this book. It's going to change the way you cook. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you, Chef Connie.
Welcome back. That was a great tour. You're watching Farm to Fork. I'm Chef Connie Powers, and today we are doing a spatchcock chicken, a butterfly chicken. So we took the poultry shears and we took the backbone out. We removed it. We set it down flat, and we have brined it with a dry compound from Kawartha Spice, a little bit of orange zest, and a little bit of brown sugar, salt, and pepper. While you were gone on the tour, I made the liquid brine, and in this is butter, orange juice, and dry white wine. And what we're going to do, you can see that this little bird, I was making a bird and not a turkey. Feel free to use this recipe on a turkey. A little bird, big roasting pan, that's okay. What you want to do now, this bird has sat for about 13 hours with the brine on it. And what you want to do is now put in the orange juice, butter. This is why I didn't use olive oil, because there's butter in it. Now I have my oven set at 400. Well, that's a really high oven. That's what you want. You want to get it in, and you want that skin to crisp up. All right, what you're going to do now is put this into the oven, and you are going to just keep testing it. You want to wait until the breast meat reaches 150 to 160, your preference. I choose 100. I like to take it out and let it cook on the counter just a little bit to finish it off. That way your leg meat and your breast meat is going to be evenly cooked at the same rate. Let's go put this in the oven. All right, it's out of the oven, and you can see that it looks done. Now, when it went in the oven, you didn't see me put in the vegetables. When your chicken or turkey reaches about 115, maybe 110, you can put the vegetables in, put it back in, and wait for that 150. Another thing I did is I tented it with some foil. That's only to protect my oven. I don't want to clean it. So you can do it, but I tented it so that it could still vent. So we're going to check the thigh, and we should be seeing the thigh at 170. Ooh, it's really juicy. And there it is. It's done. So we are going to just tent this a bit more, let it cook on its own, and then we're going to put it on a platter. You can put it in the middle of the table, and everyone can choose their favorite piece and some vegetables all in one. I want to thank Deborah Ragbar for taking us through a little bit of a tour of her product. She is in a few different retail. You can go on her website and find out where you can find her product. I know that it's in Kawartha Country Wines in Buckhorn. It's also in Primal Cuts in Peterborough, a butcher shop where you can buy the spice and you can buy the meat. Take a look at her website and see. She also does order online, which is really handy. Thanks for tuning in today. Until next time, keep cooking. So apparently somebody has a birthday in December. Happy birthday if you are a December baby as well. So this just came on my board. I'm gonna open it up. All right. And it's not in Christmas paper. If you're a December baby, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, I like this. I like the box. Check this out, folks. This is an offset bread knife. So you can see that it's offset. The reason for that is because when you're cutting your bread, you're not going at an angle, you're sawing it right across without squishing the loaf. Thank you for this birthday present. Thank you.